Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Fantasy Football Madmen show. I'm your host, Alec Ryer, here with Brendan Inero today.
How's it going, guys?
We got a good show for you today, but before we get into today's show, just remember to follow us on Twitter at MadmenFF, subscribe to our YouTube channel, FFMadmen, and like our Facebook page. It's brand new. Go check it out. We're going to be announcing our giveaway here soon. I'm planning for Monday, but we'll see. So go check us out on Facebook and find the information for that as well. Huge week in football this week, Brennan. Huge week. Lots of big players this week. High point
Yeah,
totals.
a lot of high point totals in fantasy this
There
week.
was 4 players that we have listed here that got over 40 points. That's a rarity. Just to get over 40 points, I feel like is a rarity. But before we get into our top performers of week 5, even though you guys probably see that we have our top performers per position up on the screen for you guys, we're going to get into some news and notes. Kyle Juszczyk has an MCL sprain and is going to be out to 6 weeks. Same with Mike McGlinchey. He has a different injury, but also going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Brian, what does this mean for their running game?
Seeing Kyle out, um, I don't actually think it doesn't affect the actual the how many carries you're gonna see from Coleman or Breida, but it's not like who would have affected it anyways. But what you are gonna see is a lot of their I formation and running plays that they did run were through him. He's the one. I don't know if you watched the game. He created the hole for Breida.
Mm-hmm.
Which was Breida's first play of the game that took off for his like 83-yard touchdown. So I think what you're gonna see there is maybe not the same amount of blocking that you would see in the past, but I don't think it's going to affect the the backfield of the San Francisco 49ers that much. It sucks that he's out. He's a good player. He's been playing hard this season, but I don't think we're going to see anything drastic here.
He's a fantastic run blocker. Really, I think he definitely boosts it a little bit, so they might take a little bit of a hit. But I agree with you. I don't think they're gonna go away from it. For tomorrow's game, for the Giants, Wayne Gallman's out, concussion. Sterling Shepard's out with a concussion. Barkley is ruled out still, and Evan Ingram is looked to miss multiple weeks with, I believe it's a knee injury. Am I right?
Yep, it was another knee injury. Yeah, it's really sucks because Ingram's injury was kind of something that people were looking to see, like, what was going to come out of it. And I think the Giants being on a short week kind of sucks because it just kind of almost eliminated him directly out of it, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to definitely look for another tight end there if you do. I mean, it really sucked. I mean, the Giants' defense, I think, are coming. The Giants, not defense, just the Giants in general, are coming into this game, and they're playing the Patriots. They know this is going to be a loss. They're missing a ton of key players. I mean, even with Saquon Barkley out, Wayne looked really good. Gallman looked really good and played really well. But even with him out, they're back on an undrafted free agent, Hilliman.
Hilliman,
You know,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't think you're going to see anything fantastic out of him. I think the Giants know that this game's going to be chalked up as an L, and I think they're going to play like it is. I don't think you should expect anything fantastic out of it. But they are definitely hurting. I mean, I don't think they were really a contender anyways for the NFC East. But it does suck that that they're missing so many key players in their offense.
Yeah, I believe they're 1-4 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're 1-4. I mean, it was
No,
pretty
they're
much.
two and three. They're two
Oh,
and three.
okay.
I forget they beat Washington this week actually, so they're
That
two
is
and
right.
three. Um, but yeah, I don't. Who's playing offense other than Jonathan Hillman, Daniel Jones, and Golden Tate? I guess you guys got. I mean, Darius Slayton.
Yeah, Slayton was the big one. I think that he's going to see a lot of decent targets this week,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe Latimer, however you
Oh yeah, Cody
say it,
Latimer. Yeah,
Latimer. I can't remember exactly how you say. It. I
yeah.
always
I
get
think it's
confused.
Latimer. It's kind of
Yeah, it's
strange.
spelled a little interesting.
Yeah. Another injury for tomorrow's game. Philip Dorsett has been ruled out with a hamstring. I think this is just precautionary. I
Yeah,
think it's smart. Look for Jacoby Myers to get a little bit of extra snaps because Julian Edelman was also questionable for this game. And funny enough, on NFL.com they had Michael Burkhead listed as out. His name's Rex, but he's also listed as out. I thought that was kind of funny. Going into Sunday, the Redskins are expected to start Case Keenum versus the Dolphins.
Yes, they should start Case
If
Keenum.
he's healthy, yes.
The fact that they, yeah, if he's healthy, of course, the fact that they even, I never agreed with them. I can't even, I don't know, I can't even think of his name right now.
Dwayne
who is it?
Haskins.
That Dwayne Haskins. That's what it is. I don't know why I was thinking something else. But yeah, them putting in Dwayne Haskins in the first place was already, as I stated, and was already a mistake in my opinion. They put him into a losing situation in a losing game and expected him to do something out of it, and I don't think that was how they needed to play their rookie quarterback. And I think that I also called that Gruden was going to be gone, that Jay was going to get fired.
Yeah,
We
that
saw
was
that
big
saw that
news.
coming. And I think that the Redskins just kind of need to take a step back for the rest of the season, play the people they're supposed to play. Don't try anything crazy. Wait for next year. I think is kind of how they do it.
Yeah. Sammy Watkins, he did not make he didn't. I don't think he played at all. I don't think he took a single snap against the Colts. I think he was listed out very late
Yeah, it was a late call.
before that game. So Sammy, if you guys started, he was on 3% of snaps. So he did take a couple snaps, but it looks like he was on one. He was probably on one snap and was like, nah, not feeling it. So he missed. And
Yeah, I'm
we got a guy in
not
the
surprised
chat
by that.
saying that they should let's do something crazy with it, mix it up, and throw in Haskins.
I mean, let them go for it.
I know they are playing the Dolphins, and you know what you always say about the Dolphins.
I mean, like,
Playing the
I
Dolphins.
mean, the Dolphins, the defense. I
Yeah,
mean,
defense is questionable.
oh, we heard
So
on some other stuff that maybe the defense is a streamable defense this week. I mean, I don't know if I would do it just because it's the Dolphins, but
there's just better. There's just so many like mediocre defenses that I'd
I
rather
will.
stream.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say though that going into this game in my pick'em league, I am kind of. It'll be interesting to see because realistically, I think the Redskins are going to win. Obviously, I mean, Terry McLaurin's going to have a game of zone. Yeah, AP. I mean, I think he's going to do plenty fine. You got the Redskins still have some options, but it's like the Dolphins is like, what if this is the game that they decide to do it? I could see it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, probably aren't. He probably this guy probably isn't in a lot of fantasy teams. James O'Shaughnessy, the tight end for Jacksonville, unfortunately tore his ACL, so he is done for the year. I believe they picked up a tight end, but I can't think of his name right
I
now.
thought they had one at the beginning of the year. Who
They
the
did. They
backup was?
drafted a Josh Oliver. That's who
Josh
their
Oliver. That's
draft pick
correct.
was.
Didn't they also pick up the one kid from Notre Dame as well? Can't think of his name.
Elise
Yeah,
Mack.
yeah. Didn't they get Elise Mack as well?
I thought he was
Did they
on the
pick him up?
Saints.
I can't remember which one he went to, but I just remember. No, I know they drafted somebody else.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't. I mean,
I
Garner
don't
hasn't
I
really
don't think it
thrown
has.
to the
Yeah,
tight end, anyways.
but it's still a
Maybe
major injury. He's
it is.
played
It
well fantasy
is.
wise. He's been under the radar, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely been under the radar. That's for sure.
And the last bit of news, kind of injury, and I think it's the funniest one. Not that injuries are funny or anything, but Christian McCaffrey has a back injury. No, obviously he has a back. He's been carrying that team the entire season. Like, I'm not surprised he doesn't have a back injury. But he was held out of practice today. It doesn't look major.
He'll be fine.
I think yeah, he's gonna play.
He's gonna play. He's gonna be
They're
fine.
playing in London, right? Yeah, they're playing in London.
Yeah, London.
So we'll get into that game a little bit before. Top performers of the week. Deshaun Watson was your quarterback one, 41.7 points. Going up against the Chiefs, he could repeat with that defense. Um, Aaron Jones, 49.2 points. I believe he had 4 rushing touchdowns. That's
I think it was 3, wasn't it? Was it 4? I thought he had 3 rushing touchdowns and he had some other stuff too, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
4 rushing touchdowns.
Dang.
Yeah, and he was only on there for 70% of snaps. That's pretty high, but 19 carries, 107, and 4 touchdowns. He also had 7 catches.
That's crazy. I'm
Yeah,
glad they're
for
free Aaron
75 yards.
Jones.
Yeah.
About time.
Well, that offense looked pretty good against a. I mean, like you said, the Cowboys couldn't seem to move the ball on offense, so
No.
that defense was
The
just
defense was playing tired.
tired. Probably the biggest surprise of the week was Will Fuller. Deshaun Watson linking or targeting Will Fuller 16 times.
Yeah,
This is
who is DeAndre Hopkins? We
well,
don't
I mean,
know.
he had double-digit points for the first time since week 1.
Yeah, but it's just I don't feel like they've been using him enough.
No, Yeah, 16 times. You won't see that again.
No, I don't think you'll see it. You might see another game with Will Fuller where he comes out and does put up a decent amount of fantasy points, maybe like high 20s, low 30s, eventually at some other point this year. But I don't think you're gonna expect consistency with points
No.
like that, or you're gonna expect consistency with the Texans' offense.
Yeah. And this just shows you, like, with Kenny Stills out of the lineup, Will Fuller is a must own. If not, pretty much a start. I think he's a pretty a must start as of right now with Kenny Stills out. That's just me. Wide receiver 2 on the week was Michael Thomas. This guy caught everything that was thrown to him, and I think he's caught every pass thrown to him in the last 2 weeks. Okay, he missed two.
Yeah,
He caught all the catches last week. He missed 2 this week. Still had 20 catches the last 2 weeks.
that we've been really. One thing I have to say about Michael Thomas is we've been waiting for a game like this to happen. We really have been. With Breeze being out,
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple games where he struggled to even see targets. It was just like, finally, they use Michael Thomas like he's supposed to be used, and he shows how good he actually is.
Yep. Yep. At the beginning of the season, my preseason rankings, I had Michael Thomas as the number 2 wide receiver, and you guys laughed at me. You know where he's at right now, Brennan?
Is he number 2 right
He's
now?
wide receiver 2.
Yeah, well, we're also only at week 6, so
That's true. He does have tough matchups against Jacksonville and Chicago coming up. Um, so, but he still has to play Atlanta, Tampa Bay. See, matchup wise, I don't. I'm not even scared. Like, I'm gonna play him against Chicago. Like, obviously, I'm gonna play him.
I mean, you can't, you should never sit Michael Thomas
No,
ever.
he's one of those. He's one of those must start guys. Tight end 1, Gerald Everett. This guy is like 0% owned going in going into
Yeah,
week 5.
yeah, because of how many options you see on the Rams offense. I mean, if you think about it, you've got Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp that are just receivers, and then you're talking about Todd Gurley. Not only can he run the ball, but he's already proven multiple years that he can catch the ball as well. And they use him in the screen game a lot. So it's really nice to see another option coming out of um, the Rams, and it's their tight end, which is really nice to see. Do I think you're going to expect points like this every week with him? No, but I think you're going to see at least something every single week.
Yeah,
Not saying you're going to get double digits every single week, but at the same time, I guarantee you're probably going to see somewhere between 8 to 10 points a week because he's going to catch one for at least 20, 30 yards
yeah,
almost every single week.
yeah. Last 2 weeks, he's gotten 15.4 points and 20.6 points. He had this week, 19 targets, 12 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown. He's currently tight end 11. I think he should be owned for sure. Depending on your tight end situation. Brendan, I know you have a bit of a tight end situation going on in Funhouse.
Yes. Well, he already got, I believe,
But
no, he hasn't got picked up
he
in
hasn't.
Funhouse.
But
No,
yeah,
not in
you have
Funhouse.
an issue with who you're going to drop. That's the real question.
Yeah.
And no surprise here, the New England Patriots led the league in defensive points.
Ooh, it's almost like they play teams that aren't as good.
No, I don't even remember who they played.
Well, I mean, they played Miami, they played the Giants, they played the
They
Redskins.
played Washington.
Oh, they played Washington.
They played
They're
Washington.
playing the Giants on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
They've played the Bills, who made it a good game because their defense is good, but their
They also have the
offense isn't
Jets week
exactly
7,
fantastic.
Cleveland week 8.
Exactly, they're not playing teams that are that fantastic.
No, I think it's
So,
probably one of
but
the
I
easier
will,
schedules.
if the New England Patriots are, you have a lot of leagues that people basically just roll through defenses every couple of weeks, and they're like bad matchup. They throw out a defense, pick up a new one every week. Definitely keep the New England Patriots is definitely a team and a defense that if for some reason you had a better matchup of a defense, just keep them on your bench. Use them the next week. They're going to be playing a team that's probably not as strong, and I would say arguably in our fantasy greater than GPA league or even our dynasty league that the best pickup of the entire year was Windsor picking up the New England Patriots defense.
Yeah.
They've every single week they're
Mm-hmm.
consistently like the number one defense in the league.
Yep. Yep. They scored 30 plus in a standard dynasty league before.
Yep.
I think they did that week 1. They had 30 plus points, which is a lot. On to our week 5 rewind. Those were our top performers. We're gonna go some surprises and some disappointments from week 5. Really, we talked about Aaron Jones. We talked about Will Fuller. Another big surprise for me was Teddy Bridgewater. The guy looked like he was an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, he's actually. I mean, we can say like we always have. Other than Jacoby Brissett, I would say that Teddy Bridgewater is probably one of the best backups in the league. Behind Drew Brees. And it's nice
Mm-hmm.
to see that without Drew Brees, that team can still shine and still do really well. And I'm excited to see that. As much as, don't get me wrong, I wanted the Cowboys to beat the Saints and that whole situation, but the Saints offense has just started. It struggled against the Rams whenever Drew Brees got hurt, but after that, it's done nothing but get better and better consistently every single week. And I think that's a good sign for Teddy Bridgewater and his future.
I agree. I agree. I think they'll definitely try and keep him around there long term.
Exactly.
Uh,
Especially, Drew Brees is starting to get older.
mm-hmm.
He's injured right now. He comes back. Teddy Bridgewater's staying there. Maybe that's what they might be looking at him for the future as well.
Yeah, Saints 4-1. They're still looking strong. Defense needs to be cleaned up because their current point differential is -1. For how good that offense has been, the defense has been just as bad. Um, Disappointments this week. The obvious one is Mike Evans.
Oh my gosh, 0 points, like
Put up
ridiculous. Like he goose
a
egged
goose egg.
it. I think there's only been 2 times in his entire career that Mike Evans has put up a goose egg, and I've had him on my team both times,
Mm-hmm.
and I've lost my week because of that both times. It's kind of crazy how that happens, but
Yeah. In Funhouse, Brennan, I put up 2 goose eggs with Michael Evans and Philip Dorsett, and I still won by 50 plus points.
well, it was Fantasy Funhouse. Who were you playing, like your aunt?
I was playing Tommy.
No, with Tommy's team of
Tommy's
suspended
got
people.
Elliott. He did have Watkins, so he also put up a goose egg. Eifert, Melvin Gordon didn't play well. Eckler still did fantastic. Um, Lamar Jackson also, Brennan, you have this guy in Dynasty. He didn't
Yeah,
have a great day. I'm putting him under
did
disappointment because it wasn't pretty.
no, it wasn't pretty. I mean, this is the lowest. This is the worst performance we've seen out of Lamar Jackson yet.
3 INTs, 5 in the
Three,
last 2 weeks.
three, yeah, 3 interceptions, 5 in the last 2 weeks. You've seen him get sacked against Cleveland and Pittsburgh. He's gotten sacked 9 times. And between the first 3 games of Miami, Arizona, and Kansas City, he only got sacked 6. So in the last 2 games, you've seen that number increase almost double.
Yeah,
And then you've seen his point value go from 33, 30, 21, 23. He dropped to only 10 points this week because of the 3 interceptions. I mean, you add another 6 points onto that, he's looking at 16 points, which is still a disappointment, for Lamar Jackson, especially as how well he started the year.
mm-hmm.
I mean, he threw 28 times, which is the lowest number. I'm sorry, he threw the lowest against Miami. That's because they were up, and I believe they took him out in the fourth quarter.
They did.
But he threw the lowest that he's thrown so far of 28, only completed 19, which is the lowest he's completed for the lowest amount of yards of 161, and he only threw for 1 touchdown. On the ground, he ran more, and he ran for a decent amount on the ground, for 70 yards, which is basically his only somewhat of a savior this week. But playing Cincinnati, I think this is going to turn around again. I think we're going to see Lamar Jackson do a lot better next week this week playing Cincy.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a good chance at a bounce back game. I'm looking at the scores from last week, and you only lost by 4 points.
Yep, we
And
lost by
Mike
four
and
points.
Mike Evans put up a goose egg.
Mike Evans put up a goose egg, and Matt Breida broke out for a bunch of touchdowns as well.
Mm-hmm. He had
Didn't
a
play him last week. And Josh Jacobs was trying to save my team with all of his points, but
he did good. He's actually what I'm going to get into next, and that's Josh Jacobs. Is he an every week starter?
yes, I always said that. Remember, I don't know if you remember earlier on in the season, I talked about they need to get Josh Jacobs more involved in the receiving game, and I think they're going to see a lot better stuff come out of him. And not only did we at first we saw a really good game one, and we started seeing a decline in his snap percentage because of the Raiders playing down and then behind in games. We turn around and they play Chicago. They come out strong. He's running the ball. He just ran incredible against the Chicago defense, which is a surprise. 26 attempts for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground alone. And then you also saw his target share double from week to week. He got 4 targets this week with 3 receptions for 20 yards. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see a little bit more, but you can't, as a running back owner in a dynasty league,
against
in fantasy
Chicago.
football against Chicago, you can't be mad with 3 catches for 20 yards.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
he
Like
was
that's I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that they're using Josh Jacobs more. I mean, I think this game clearly showed that he's a startable player every single week, and he needs to be.
yeah, he was projected 8.42 points against Chicago, and he finished with 29.3. Absolutely monstrous over there. Another guy that's been kind of creeping up on people's. He's been good. He's got 5 touchdowns so far this year. It's DJ Chark. Guys come out of like nowhere to be currently the wide receiver 5, which absolutely blows my mind. Last week he was on 81% of the snaps, 11 targets, 8 receptions for 164 and 2 touchdowns. Clearly, Gardner Minshew likes throwing the ball to this guy, and he can catch pretty much anything. I mean, is he the real deal? I think so. Last but not least, and we all knew this one, I just wanted to throw this in. Christian McCaffrey is just in a league of his own.
The guy's incredible.
Um, I'm thinking of that GIF you showed me yesterday, Brendan, of when someone says Christian McCaffrey's on the trade block, and then
Oh yeah,
if Christian McCaffrey's on the trade block,
trade everything you have for
trade your
him.
entire team because he'll just put up that many points for you anyways. It doesn't.
Number one running back standard, number one PPR. I mean, the guy plays almost. I mean, this week was his lowest snap percentage, was at 86%.
Jesus. And
He
then his
ran 19 for 176, 2 touchdowns, had 6 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown. Like, how do you stop this guy?
you don't. I don't think you really can.
They're playing Tampa Bay over in they're playing over in London, right? Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Panthers that are playing in London
Mm-hmm.
as well. So they're playing over in London against Tampa Bay this week. I think Tampa Bay defense has done pretty well, but I think you're gonna see another pretty solid breakout game from Christian McCaffrey this week.
I mean, he's a monster. He's a monster. All right, so that's it for Week 5 Rewind. We're going to get into the Week 6 matchups, starting with tomorrow's game. Giants taking on the New England Patriots in New England. That's a tough place to go and play, especially at a night game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game. The Giants, not like we said earlier, they're hurting for players. A lot of their starting teams out. Um, you know, I agree. Jones didn't play awful against the Vikings, but I would agree that this is kind of the game you don't really start any of your New York Giants if you have the chance, because I don't really see them doing much here. The Patriots defense is playing really well. They're missing everyone on offense for the Giants. The Patriots, if you have the Patriots defense, play them this week. Like we already said, Giants missing everyone on their offense. Another good matchup. Sony Michel should do pretty well in this game. And I think Sony Michel is definitely going to be your start of this game with them being up. You're going to see more carries out of him and potentially more yards for sure.
And Burkhead's out. So
Oh, that's true. And Burkhead's
really,
out.
James White and Brandon Bolden aren't really between the tackles type runners. So I expect to see similar volume to what we saw this past week, which I can pull up. 16 carries and 3 targets for 3 receptions through the air. It was on 49% of the snaps, but they got up pretty quickly in that second half. So they like to rotate their running backs. You'll see it a lot in the next 2 weeks, I think. Next game, it's going to be in London. This one starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So make sure, really, in this game, make sure Christian McCaffrey's in your lineup, Mike Evans is in your lineup. If you don't have a better quarterback, Jameis Winston's in your lineup. Chris Godwin, I think he's still like you got to start Chris Godwin. He's insane.
Of course, him and I mean, as much as like it sucks, like last week you saw obviously Mike Evans get that goose egg. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin every single week have been doing something, either
Mm-hmm.
one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start, if you have them, start any of them. Curtis Samuel's a good look this week, I think as well. I mean, pretty much for the most part, I think even when you go into the Buccaneers backfield, with Peyton Barber, which he did. I think he sniped that touchdown from Ronald Jones last week. But Jones and Barber have both been playing really well, and I think you could definitely start one of them, in your flex positions, or if you're really, really hurting for a running back, maybe someone's on bye this week that you have that you need to play. There are definitely people you can stream into your running back position.
Those are both good plug options, I think. All right. On to the Redskins at the Dolphins, also known as the Tank Bowl. Jay Gruden got fired finally, so it's gonna be a whole new look for the Redskins. I think. I think it's gonna. Bill Callahan's taken over. I believe he was with the Cowboys for a while. That name sounds kind of familiar. But is this a potential? Like, would you consider streaming either Josh Rosen or Case Keenum in this game, Brennan?
I definitely think you could, and you could probably do both if you wanted to. Now, I'm not saying either one of them is guaranteed to output, but I think you definitely could stream, Rosen or Keenum and expect at least something. I mean, we know Keenum's going to throw the ball to McLaurin, so
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna see that. So you're gonna get yards that way, and I think the Redskins are probably gonna win this game. But I think the Dolphins have a decent chance as well, playing a defense who's not as good and a team that's not as good. I think the Dolphins are definitely gonna have an option to. They're gonna have a shot at winning the football game.
Yeah. Which okay, so if you had to stream one of these defenses, which one would it be?
I mean, if I had to choose between the two, I don't know, man. I would think I would just still say the Redskins defense is the team that I would play out of the two.
I would agree. I would agree. You
But
think?
I mean, the Dolphins could have a good game. This one's kind of a toss-up, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't pick a winner out of this game, but I
I would
do.
lean I would lean more towards the Redskins, but I think if the Dolphins are going to win a game and have a chance, I think this is going to be it.
This is gonna be this is gonna be one of their good chances. You think this is a game for Kenyon Drake to finally put some points up on the board because he hasn't. I mean, he's gotten some volume because Kalen Balaj has not been. I mean, let's face it, the Dolphins haven't been good, but Kalen Balaj has been like notably awful when he gets the ball in his hand. Is this a game that Kenyon Drake could, break out?
I mean, to be completely honest with you, I don't think I can predict anything with Kenyon Drake at the moment. I mean, I guess I could see it, but I'm just not that impressed with the Dolphins backfield in any way, shape, or form, nor do I want anything to do with them. If you have them and you really have nothing else to play, I say go for it, but
Yeah,
I don't expect anything crazy out of him this game,
yeah, he's been on my bench all season, and
nor should anyone else.
I feel like the only time I'll play him this week or this year is probably week 10. That's because both my running backs are on bye. It's great. On to the next game, Saints Jaguars. We talked about the Saints offense already. Is doing pretty much exceeding expectations, I think, with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm, and the defense still looking like Swiss cheese out there. But the Jaguars, the offense has really been clicking the last 2 weeks. They lost last week against the Panthers, but 2 straight weeks Fournette has been productive. Like we talked about DJ Chark, but Leonard Fournette I feel like has surprised a lot of people the last 2 weeks. Over 20 points, over 100 yards in both games, and last week he also had 7 targets, which means he's getting looks out of the backfield, which is always nice to see as a
Yeah,
PPR owner. Um, I like him in this matchup and in matchups going forward. He's got New Orleans this week, Cincinnati, and the Jets. Those defenses are all not great. So Leonard Fournette could continue this form, and I would love to see that.
I
Not
would
just as a form owner.
I would agree with you that Leonard Fournette, has been productive for the last 2 weeks and has an opportunity to do that again. Um, but at the same time, New Orleans is a defense that I feel like plays like they're hot and cold,
Mm-hmm.
where they're one week they're extraordinarily good and the next week they're extraordinarily bad. And I think that you can see Fournette having. I think this is between Fournette. I think they're either going to have a bust game or a great game. I don't think there's going to be an in between this week. I think he's going to have either another breakout week like he has the last 2 weeks, or he's probably going to get you about 10 to 11 points. That's all that I'm seeing.
Yeah, yeah. Touchdown for DJ Chark this week? Yay or nay?
I could. Yeah, I would say. I would say yay for
He's
that.
gotten 5.
I,
And
I
he's
would
only
say
scored
yeah. I
in
mean, Gardner
not one
Minshew
game
likes to
this
throw the
week.
ball to DJ Shark
Yeah,
in the
he had
end zone,
11
in the
targets.
red zone, and in the end zone. Like,
He's
he
he's
likes
a
to have
big
that.
dude. If I'm not mistaken, what are his measurables?
I do want to talk about
6'3", 199.
Westbrook though.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I like the fact that Westbrook has started to get a little more involved over the last several weeks.
Hmm.
He struggled. Week 1, he did pretty well. Touchdown with the savior. Week 2 was a struggle. You started seeing him kind of steadily increasing in week 3 and 4, and I'm glad to see that his target share went up to even 11 targets this week. With 7 receptions for 82 yards. Still hasn't seen the end zone again except for that first week, but it looks like Gardner's gotten more confident throwing him the ball. Um, and hopefully, and they like to do a lot of like short screen stuff to DD. I don't know if you've noticed that, but
Hmm.
I've been able to see a lot of that over the last couple of games. They start do some short throws to him. So hopefully they continue with the target share and the reception. Maybe he gets a couple extra yards. I could see him having a pretty decent week this week. Nothing that I would say is a breakout, but I would definitely say that he's going to be consistent this week.
Yeah. So when Nick Foles comes back, who do you think is going to get more targets? Is it going to be Chark or is it going to be Westbrook?
I think, I mean, it's hard to tell considering we only saw like what, a quarter,
Yeah.
a down, like a possession
Yeah.
for if Nick Foles with them, but I feel like it seemed like it was Dede with Nick Foles, and Shark has been playing well with Garner. So, I mean, it's hard to tell. I would say Dede, but I mean, the way that Shark's been playing, maybe Nick Foles is sitting there seeing it all. I mean, Nick Foles is sitting there seeing it all too, so maybe it's going to be DJ Shark when he comes back.
Yeah. I would like it to remain Chark. That'd be nice to see. But I do like Didi in the slot. He's a good player. Next game we have the Bengals taking on the Ravens. We gave a lot of praise to the Bengals defense week 1 when they kept the Seahawks at bay for a while, but they ended up losing unfortunately. But this team is bad. Like it's really bad. Tyler Boyd is probably the only fantasy like every week startable like fantasy option. I mean Joe Mixon, but he hasn't really gotten off to a hot start. He's a potential buy low option in my opinion. But with this offensive line, I just don't see him, you know, coming out of this funk. And I don't put it on him. I think he's a great player, but I mean, if I had Joe Mixon, I'm probably going to play him just because he's expected top running back in the league. Um,
Yeah,
Let me find his
it's
numbers real
hard.
quick.
It's hard to have a Bengals offensive player on your team.
Yeah.
And like I said, Tyler Boyd, yes, he's your startable person for every single week. But at the same time, just I don't trust the Bengals offense in general. It just hasn't looked good. I mean, Andy Dalton's done pretty well in some games actually, but sometimes it was the receivers just dropping balls, and they can't. Something's always wrong between the two. The two are never on track or in click. Like none of it's always one of them is messing up somehow, and it's just hard to get lost behind this Bengals offense. Joe Mixon, good opportunity, like you said, to buy low. If you're gonna buy him, now's the time to do it. And just pray that they do better for the rest of the year.
Hmm.
Maybe he turns around and does pretty well, but yeah, he's been struggling. I would agree.
I mean, I'm looking at his stats, and I kind of want to retract what I was saying. He's averaged 4 yards a carry the last 4 weeks, going up against Pittsburgh or Buffalo, Pittsburgh. He played Arizona, but Buffalo and Pittsburgh are still decent defenses, running like front seven wise. So running the ball against those were pretty
Yeah,
good. He just hasn't scored on the ground. He scored one touchdown and it was through the air. So it's the lack of touchdowns that really I think scares people there. Um,
yeah. I mean, against Arizona, I mean, you saw like what consistent over the last 3 weeks or so. He's gotten
mm-hmm.
over 10 points. And I think you might see it again here. But I mean, Baltimore's not a bad team.
No.
I mean, they're not San Francisco, they're not Seattle, in my opinion. But I think Baltimore's a good enough team that maybe Joe Mixon struggles again. I don't. It's not Arizona. It's not Pitt. Buffalo's a good defense, and they played pretty well. But he only played 57% of the snaps in that game.
Yeah. The,
He
the
did he did
snap
really
percentage
well.
does
And
scare
also,
me
I think
there.
the touchdown saved him, and he had a couple catches.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's only going to get one catch through the air and everything else is going to be on the ground against Baltimore, I don't know how I feel about him doing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, this is the game that the the Ravens defense needs to get back on track.
Yeah, yeah, this is a good
They've
game for
been
them to.
struggling.
They look so good. Granted, they played Miami week 1, but they look so good. Week 2 and I believe week 3 was the Kansas City game that they got absolutely torched. Yeah, because then Kansas City played Detroit. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. So
they've
week 3.
they've they've kind of struggled. I mean, they only got 9 points against Pitt this past week. I mean, that was a lot to do with the fact that you got to think that Lamar Jackson threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, they were on
So
the
that
field
didn't
a lot.
exact. They were on the field a lot, and that didn't help. But they still gave up 23 points, which is like kind of in the middle right there to a Pittsburgh team that's been struggling all year long. I think they're going to have a comeback week here against Cincinnati
Yeah, I
before they
think.
go and play Seattle.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to look to make a statement in this game and try to put up some big numbers and play some hard defense in this one going up against the Bengals. Next game, Seahawks are going to take on the Browns. Russell Wilson's looking like an MVP caliber player, like NFL MVP. He could be a fantasy MVP at the end of the year. Like the guy's absolutely insane. He's on fire. Also, Brandon, did you see the Tyler Lockett catch?
Yes, I did see it.
Holy cow, that was incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That he's nuts. That offense is just clicking on all cylinders. Wilson, Carson, Lockett. You could even probably play DK Metcalf and go for. I mean, it'd be a kind of a boomer bust
He's
play.
got a couple of
He
touchdowns,
does have a
hasn't
couple
he?
touchdowns. He's a big dude. He's like 6'4". And I mean, oh, and Will
Um,
Disley. I forgot Will Disley, big Montana. Those are all startable options in my opinion.
yeah, I
Uh,
mean he's seen 2 touchdowns. He got a touchdown last week. He's getting about anywhere between 2 to 4 catches a game.
mm-hmm.
If I think if he gets a touchdown, he's definitely worth the start. If he doesn't get a touchdown, you're gonna see about 8 points out of him
Yeah,
probably.
he'll probably get like 4 or 5 catches. 50 somewhat yards. But he's going up against the Browns, who have a very weak secondary. So
Yeah,
we'll see how that
they're missing
turns
both their
out.
corners still, I believe.
They are. Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward are both still out. But speaking of the Browns,
It's
there's
bad.
they're like they can't give Baker enough time to even try to make. And when he tries to make plays, he's kind of like that OBJ punt return. You put him out there to make a play, he tries to make a play and he fumbles the ball. It's like you can't really put that on OBJ. They're down
This
28 to
is what
3.
I think you're a little biased because you're a Baker fan. This is what I think. I think the Browns offense came out thinking they were hot shit, and they're finally realizing that they're not. And the line hasn't helped them, but Baker is not making any what sort of the right decisions playing behind that.
No,
Neither is their
I'll agree with that.
offensive game. They need to be running the ball a lot more with Chubb. It clearly worked against Baltimore, and that's what they need to do. But they've just they for some reason they can't see what's right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but majority of the problem is coming from the fact that their offensive line is actually just horrible and is giving Baker and everybody no time. You can't give the ball to OBJ if he doesn't have any time to get the ball to
Yeah.
OBJ. But at the same time, Baker's not exactly playing like he should be playing either, and is
No,
making a lot of mistakes when he's getting into pressure, and it's showing.
I agree. If this offensive line could run block or could pass block like they run block, they probably would be undefeated.
I don't know.
I mean,
I
his
don't know.
yards per carry for Nick Chubb 4.4,
Yeah, but
3.4,
that means they have to
eh,
actually run the ball with Nick Chubb.
4.2, 8.2. Last week was the least amount of carries he got all season.
It was the least amount of carries that he got
16,
all season,
and
but
that's still a lot. That's
I
still a
mean,
good
you
number.
remember, but it's kind of hard when you have a quarterback who's making such terrible decisions that
He wasn't on the field for that much because that second interception was not on Baker. That was entirely on Antonio Callaway. It wasn't the
yes,
greatest throw, but it
yes,
hit his hands. He's got to catch it.
it did. He should have caught. I agree with you on that one. That was not Baker's fault for the second interception. But at the same time, we did learn that you could have literally spiked the ball on every single play and still had a better QB rating than Baker this past week.
Oh, I absolutely hated that stat when you told me that. I thought that was so funny.
What his stat was
Oh,
like something. It was like 20 or something like that, and it was like
I think it was like
you literally
23.
could take every single snap and throw the ball in the dirt and spike it, and you would still have a better QB rating than Baker had this past week.
You could say
That
that
is
about a lot of quarterbacks in certain weeks, though. So I feel
in
like people.
certain weeks, but Baker has been consistently not playing up to his expectation.
All right, on to the next game. On to the next game. Eagles taking on the Vikings at home. This Eagles defense looks legit. They had 10 sacks against the Jets. Granted, they're playing the Jets, and they're not known for their offensive line either. But 10 sacks, that's like, we thought 9 was a lot from Jacksonville a couple weeks ago, but 10?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. The Eagles defense is playing really well. Um, I they're real. You know, it's funny as I think that the Eagles' real threat is their defense, and they've got so many options on offense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've seen Carson Wentz when he has no one to throw to, he throws the ball to Zach Ertz, which makes plays. But yeah, well, I don't know when is Deshaun Jackson back yet? When is he back?
He's close, according to Doug Peterson. He's close to coming
He's
back.
close. Alshon's back. I mean,
He's gonna get
Alshon,
his volume.
he's gonna get his volume. I just Jordan Howard's been looking really well. Honestly, I think Jordan Howard has been their best player on offense the entire year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I mean I'm a huge Jordan Howard fan, so that's how I feel. But against the Vikings, I, I don't know what to say. I mean, Kirk Cousins has finally decided that if Alan Thielen, I guess, is going to punch him in the face, then maybe he throws him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So
8 targets this year.
apparently
This
it
last
worked.
week.
Their offense, I mean, Thielen looked really good, which is something that we've seen Thielen do in the past. I mean, ITWT and Thielen we trust.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Diggs did not have the target numbers that he would like.
He only had 4.
Um, yeah, I mean, Dalvin Cook is Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
So
Same thing.
I think it's going to be a tough game for the Eagles defense, and I think you're going to see a lot of Dalvin Cook and probably once again a lot of Adam Thielen.
I feel like the Eagles could definitely control the ball with Jordan Howard. Power running game, trying to keep that Vikings offense off the field, so then Dalvin Cook doesn't have the ball. And then,
I could definitely see that as well. I think that'd be a strong play for the Eagles.
mm-hmm. And if the Eagles start getting going on like stopping the
Clock
run
management.
early, like on defense, if they can stifle him quickly, it'll throw him off for the whole game. And the Eagles could really take advantage of that and start throwing the ball deep if they really wanted to. On to the next game. We gotta move on here quick. Texans taking on the Chiefs. The Chiefs looking to bounce back after a very rough loss to the Colts at home, which was surprising. Um, Mahomes was still dealing with that ankle injury, but he says it's feeling fine in quotations. Um, Tyreek Hill expected back for this matchup, but Sammy Watkins is still questionable. We'll know more about that a little later in the week. We talked about Watson. We talked about Fuller. Um, yeah, I mean, this could be a potential shootout. This could be another, big game. Patty Mahomes has only thrown 1 touchdown in the last 2 weeks, which is very
The
un-Patty
cheat is back,
Mahomes.
baby.
But he should have Tyreek Hill back, which is his
The
favorite
cheat is
target.
the cheat is back.
That guy's insanely fast. It's going to be, if he's back,
Tyreek, if he's back, Tyreek Hill's having a breakout game.
he's going to have I think he'll have a huge game. If they're easing him back in, maybe he doesn't. But I'm still starting him
The way
if he's in.
if Deshaun Watson plays the way he did last week, and I think you're not going to see the same thing from Will Fuller as you did last week, but I think you're going to see a lot from Hopkins this week. If Deshaun Watson played as well as he did this past week, gets the ball that he needs, he gets the balls he needs to Hopkins and to Will Fuller. I think you're going to see a really tough game here against the Chiefs. Where I could agree it could be a shootout, but I also think it's just going to be a good offensive game between both sides.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely favoring the Texans defense in this one just for the sack potential. But what about Kiki? You like Kiki in this one?
I don't really know how I feel about Kiki still. I mean, personally, I don't really have much of an opinion on him.
Mm-hmm. I think he could be a flex option depending on they used him kind of a little bit in last week's game, but with Stills out, you know, 3 wide receiver sets are one of the Texans' favorite formations. So we'll see who's out there. Um, Next game, Falcons, Cardinals. I think this one's going to be gross, honestly. This is probably
Probably.
one of the grossest games this week. Besides, we're not going to count the Redskins Dolphins game because they've got Terry McLaurin, who's a very exciting player. So we'll see what happens there. But Falcons and Cardinals. Falcons are going to need to get this is probably like the week that they need to get their season figured out what they're doing like
Yeah, I mean,
offensively.
they showed offensively last week that they can run the ball, and they've got good people to do that. Devonta Freeman had a great week last week. Ito Smith had a good week. They ran the ball. It was like the most like what was it, like most rushing something that they did this year that you've seen, the most rushing output you've seen this year between the Falcons in the whole NFL, I think is what it was. So I mean, I think they're going to continue that. I mean, they're playing the Cardinals, who have a really bad defense, really bad team. um, we can talk about, the number one tight end and pass catcher for the Falcons, Austin Hooper, by the
He's
way,
been
right
showing
now,
out still.
consistently getting points. I mean, he still had 13.6 points this past week against Houston.
Hmm.
Against Arizona this week, I think you're probably going to see something about that same number. Don't expect that many more touchdowns, because I expect touchdowns to go towards Julio this week. Maybe a Calvin Ridley touchdown, and probably something on the ground. But I think you're still going to see a decent amount of points out of him as well.
Well, the Cardinals don't seem to
Oh yeah,
cover the tight end.
they don't know the tight end
Minus last
exists.
week, but that was Tyler Eifert. He's kind of a shell of what he used to be. He used to be a really good tight end in my opinion, but the injury bug got him unfortunately. Is Julio a potential buy low guy? I mean, he hasn't been. I mean, this offense hasn't been good, but would you consider Julio a buy low guy?
Um, I don't know if I consider him a buy low guy. That you have to think the Falcons played two tough matchups the past 2 weeks. They started against Minnesota, which their defense has been okay, but they're playing. They went from Minnesota to Philly, where you saw whose defense is standing out now. And then they played Indianapolis, where Julio did really well, got 15, 27, 26 points. And they went into Tennessee's defense, who's one of the best in the league. He drops down to 9 points. They played Houston's defense, who played really well last week. And he only saw 6 points out of Julio. This week, I think you could try to buy low on him. I don't know if anyone's gonna give you that option to buy low on Julio.
It's,
But I think Julio's gonna have a pretty solid game this week.
yeah,
I would expect him to be back in the 20s point value wise this week.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Brennan, I got a potential trade offer for you, and it's not for someone on your team. It's just, would you do something like this? A Julio Jones for Cooper Cup plus a player in a redraft scenario. Redraft scenario
Would I give up Julio Jones for Cooper Cup and a,
plus
a
a player.
player? Honestly, I don't know if I would. I mean, if I was the Julio Jones player right now, I'd probably take that because of Cooper Cup. But I don't know why any other player. If I was a Cooper Cup owner right now in a redraft scenario, I'd be riding Cooper Cup all the way through the season,
Well, if
man.
they're winning for sure, but
I would I
say
would
that team's
ride Cooper.
losing,
I would ride Cooper Cup all the way through this. I mean, if you're losing and you have to make a trade, and that's what
you need
you've
to
got,
mix it up.
I think that's definitely something you could go for. I think that's a player that you could, giving away someone like Cooper Cup to entice your trade, I think is definitely something that you could do in a redraft scenario. And then adding that extra player just to ensure your trade goes through. Yeah, that's definitely something that you could do. But if your team's doing plenty fine or a decent team, keep Cooper Cup. I
Yeah,
wouldn't get rid of that guy.
that guy's a target machine. Um, the Cardinals, they got their first win of the season. Kyler Murray got his first win as a NFL quarterback, and he looked free in this Kingsbury offense, which is great to see. Had nearly 100 yards on the ground, another 250 through the air. I'm hoping we see more of this, going throughout the season. He had over 10, ran the ball for over 10 times. Um, didn't he had one touchdown on the ground. He didn't have any through the air. He was only sacked once. I think that's a big stat for them because that offensive line he was sacked 8 times against Carolina.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid stack for the offensive line, or solid stat for the offensive line there, showing that he
Mm-hmm.
only got sacked one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyler looked pretty good. Talking about Chase Edmonds, I think as a DJ owner, it sucked to watch that last week, but it
Mm-hmm.
was a good sign because I have him in Dynasty and I have Edmonds in Dynasty. So if you're a Dynasty owner, you're like, well, at least if DJ's hurt, I've got Chase Edmonds who can clearly get it done on, without DJ there.
Yeah.
In a redraft scenario, if you have Chase Edmonds as your backup for DJ, which you should, if you do not, yes, he should be rostered on your. If he's not rostered, he should be on somebody's team because if DJ gets hurt, I mean, clearly he's just showed you that he can produce.
For sure. For sure. So for a non DJ owner, say in a redraft, non DJ owner, should Chase Edmonds be rostered?
Yes, 100%. That's what I was trying to say. Is yeah, if DJ is not on your team, he should be on somebody's team,
Hmm.
and they should have him on their bench and go, well, if DJ gets hurt, at least I've got this guy.
Yeah, yeah. Fab percentage that you'd spend if he's available in your league and you use Fab
If you've got 100 fab for the year, I mean, for Chase, I mean, I'd probably spend anywhere between $5 to $8 on it, just for the fact of you're
as a
just kind of
non-DJ owner.
as a non-DJ owner, yeah, I would spend
As a DJ
$5 to $8.
owner, well, you're going more.
Probably. I mean, if he's not on my team already, I
Yeah,
probably would just to get the cuff to secure that, to secure the backfield. I mean, clearly they want to use they're going to use DJ or Chase Edmonds in every single game. They've shown that.
yeah,
So if DJ's not there, they're going to use Chase Edmonds. So I want to have him on my team. So I'd be probably spending $10 to $12 just to secure my spot, make sure that I outbid everybody for that.
yeah, yeah. All right, moving on. 49ers take on the Rams. Do you like any pass catcher for the 49ers in this game?
I mean,
Other than Kittle.
Kittle,
Other than Kittle.
not really. Maybe Breida. Breida's a pass catcher.
Do you think they can, we talked about McGlinchey and Juszczyk and the running attack. Do you think
Yeah, that's why they have
it'll still produce well? I mean, the
I think they're
volume
going
will
to
be
be
there.
okay. I think they're going to be plenty okay. I think the 49ers run game has been strong all year long.
Hmm.
I mean, they are playing against Aaron Donald, who's a freaking madman himself.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
they got
think
they got their own Madmen and Nick Bosa. I don't know if you saw that game,
that's
but
true.
holy cow, that guy took over the field. He,
I think the running game's going to be okay still for the 49ers, and they're going to do just as many attempts in this game, I feel like, as they have in the past for the run game. So I think with Tevin Coleman back and Breida, each one going back and forth, whether Breida's getting runs, Coleman's getting runs, and then you're going to see more passes, obviously, towards Breida, I think, for reception wise. I think they're going to be okay. But
yeah,
other than Kittle, I think Breida might be my second favorite.
yeah. I mean, you could probably start Coleman or Breida and still, get
Oh,
some
for
fantasy
sure.
points for him.
Oh, for sure. I think you should. I mean, they're solid flex start positions. Like if you need someone to throw into your flex start, for between Breida and Coleman, or I mean, you could probably start Coleman as a running back if you needed to.
Hmm.
But I think you'd be plenty fine playing either of those two players.
Yeah. For the Rams, Todd Gurley is day to day with a thigh contusion. I don't expect him to miss this game. Um, but with how scary that San Francisco defense looked and their pass rush has, like, granted, they're going up against I would say, a better offensive line than Cleveland, but question: who's the better Bosa? After watch, I mean, it has been like the one game he's really shown out, but who do you think is going to be the better Bosa, Joey or Nick?
Uh, I'm just a huge I'm a huge Joey Bosa fan, so I would say Joey. But baby Bosa did look good,
Dude,
so
he looked like a monster out there. Goff's gonna have to get rid of the ball quickly. If he has a similar game, even if he doesn't get to him, if he just you know you know pressures him a little bit, he's gonna have to get rid of that ball quickly, which means Cooper Cup and Gerald Everett
the
and probably Todd
110
Gurley.
the $110 million arm likes to throw the ball to Cooper Cup. That's all I gotta say.
Well, he might not have that $110 million arm in this game. He might have to use just his $100 arm. I don't know. Next game, and this is kind of a weird one. Another gross game, but it's the Titans. Their offense is very anti fantasy football, minus Derrick Henry. After coming off a defensive battle against the Bills, did they did the Bills win that game? The Bills won that game, right? I can't remember.
I can't either.
Yeah, the Bills won that game because they're 4-1. Wow, yeah, 14-7. Real barn burner in that one. Um, is Henry still a starter in your lineup, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. For the Broncos, they played the Chargers and got their first win of the season. The defense played well and kept Melvin Gordon, who came back for the first time this season, to just 38 yards total. Um,
I mean,
I don't
yeah,
think
they
it's what
kept
you're going to
Gordon to
see.
only 38 yards. I mean, yeah, it's a good stat
Mm-hmm.
being Melvin Gordon, but it was his first game back of the season after this whole holdout situation. Everything went down. I mean, I think you're going to expect Gordon to do better progressively as the year goes on and they use him. That's how I feel that's going to go. But the Broncos did look good. I mean, their first one of the season should have been their second one of the season, Bears getting lucky with the refs in their game. Cortland Sutton is looking fantastic. You know who else I think is looking fantastic actually is Philip Lindsay. I
Yes.
mean, the dude's looking pretty dang good, and I mean, what 15 attempts for 114 yards and a touchdown last week, and he got 4 targets with 4 receptions and 33 yards. I mean, the guy's a freaking monster. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like you see the way that he runs so hard when he runs. Like it's like every play is his last. It's awesome to watch. I love watching him play. And I think this week he's gonna do just as well this week. I know, everyone's been talking about, Royce Freeman back there, and Freeman had a decent game. I mean, still had 13 attempts himself for 61 yards, and he saw 2 receptions for only about 6 yards. But I mean, he got about 9 fantasy points last week. But they both are looking pretty good in general. And I think with if one gets hurt and out, then the other one's starting. I think I'd feel comfortable with that. So I think the Broncos need to fall back to their running game. I was and Cortland Sutton was upset with Emmanuel Sanders this past week. They only had like what 1 catch, I believe, for. Let's see. I just want to make sure I had this right. He had 1 target, 1 reception for 9 yards. Like that was it. That's the
Yikes.
only thing you saw about him. I mean, and it was clear that Cortland Sutton was who they were looking at the entire game. And that's like a question I have for you. Is Emmanuel Sanders falling off with the young receivers for the Broncos stepping up now? Is this the
Oh yeah,
downfall?
certainly. Especially with the trade rumors, going around Emmanuel Sanders. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're shopping him for whatever they can get for him because he's in the last year of his contract. They're not gonna win this year. They know it. Um, yeah, I think they're gonna, rely on Sutton a lot for the rest of the season.
I
Um,
think they're going to rely on Sutton in their future.
but I don't know if, I mean, chat might agree with you, but we might have just gotten a preview of Brennan's Star of the Week, which are coming on Saturday afternoon. We might. I don't know. We haven't written them down. We have no idea who each other's sits of the week are going to be. But it sounds like Philip Lindsay might be a start of the week for Brennan. I don't know. You'll have to find out on Saturday. Next game, Cowboys going into MetLife Stadium not to take on the Giants, but to take on the New York Jets. Brennan, you want to talk about the boys? They're your team.
uh, yeah. I think the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to win this game. Why? It's because it's not a good team. um,
Yeah.
they struggled against the two better teams they've played, being the Saints and being the Green Bay Packers. And the offense has struggled to produce the touchdown. Now, last week they had their
I was like,
touchdowns
they
at the
started
end of the
slow.
game, but they've been struggling to get the touchdowns on the drives that they should have. They need to see the red zone more, and when they're in the red zone, they need to see those end zone plays. Dak can't get sacked when he's in field goal range for fucking 15 yards, and then you lose everything you had for your potential Brett Maher kick. You know what I mean? Like it can't happen. It's been happening. It's happening too much. The boys need to come out. Dak needs to play controlled. He needs to play smart. Look for Amari Cooper. Look for Michael Gallup. Hit Jason Witten. Zeke needs to be running the ball better. He just has been struggling as well this year. I mean, he's doing well. I mean, Zeke, he's getting all of these touches in general. But I mean, he still had 17 points last week, but he went 12 for 62 with 1 touchdown. Touchdown saves him there. You know what I mean? Like, if without his touchdown, he's at 11 points on
Mm-hmm.
the week. That's not an Ezekiel Elliott that you see ever. The guy is almost always consistently at projected 20 points. You're gonna see anywhere between 15 to I mean, you're seeing like almost 18 to 20 carries every single game for him, and he only had 12 last week. It was just their offense struggled. They couldn't get anything working. So this is the game they need to turn around, come back, get their heads right, and I think they're going to do that this week, and I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, Sam Darnold's back for the Jets, so players like Robbie Anderson and James Crowder are gonna get their targets. Um, but I mean, if they come out flying on offense, I mean, granted, you could say that about any team if they come out flying, but like the Jets are 0-4, they have nothing to lose. So
You're right. They don't
going
have
all out in
anything.
this game would, and it paying off would get them a huge win against the Cowboys. I mean, I don't think it's going to save their season by any means, but fantasy wise, it could be a huge game for Darnold, Robbie Anderson, James Crowder, and Le'Veon Bell. I'm not
Yeah.
saying start them. Not saying start them.
But the Cowboy, what I think the Jets, it'll be interesting to see how Sam does coming back because he literally hasn't been able to do anything
That's
with
true.
his
He
with
could come out and
mono,
struggle.
and I think he might struggle a little bit. And the Cowboys defense isn't a bad defense. It's
No.
just they just haven't been playing very well. And I think that, I think you might see a deep play out of Robbie Anderson. I think Jamison Crowder gets a couple catches, but I don't know if I expect them to, in the future with Sam back, those players are looking good. This week, I don't know how I feel about them this week. If I have other options for them, I'm probably playing other options.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Next game, Steelers, Chargers. I don't know if you guys watched that Steelers game or I guess just the end of it. If you saw that hit that Mason Rudolph took, holy cow. I don't think I've ever seen someone get hit harder. And it wasn't even like it was high, but I've seen dirtier hits. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a dirty hit
I don't want
at
to call it. It
all.
was a little high, but
Mm,
I'm
I
not going to call
think
it dirty. I
I
think he just
think
got
both
sandwiched.
guys he did. He just got sandwiched. Both guys just made a play at the right time, and he happened to be in the wrong spot. He got the ball. It sucked when he went down. It looked kind of scary, but I do not feel that it was a dirty hit at all. The Steelers are down to their third string guy without Ben or Mason Rudolph.
Devlin
Jalen
Hodges.
Jalen Samuels is out. You're gonna see a lot out of Connor
Mm-hmm.
this week, but I don't think the Steelers are going into this game expecting to win against the Chargers, who are 2-3 coming off a lot. The Denver's first win, Denver got their first win against them. They're now 2-3. They need the redemption game. They just got Gordon back, who struggled in his first game, but I think you're going to see Gordon do better as the year goes on. I think this might be the first game you start seeing Gordon come back to what he used to be.
I mean, that defense has played pretty well against the run, so it all just depends. I'm still hoping Eckler has big games ahead of him as well. I still think with both of like you could play both of them, Gordon and Eckler. I might be biased as an Eckler owner saying that, but I guess I'm just an Austin Eckler truther. I was last year. I am this year. Next game, the last game, Monday Night Football, Lions and the Packers. Um, Again, the Packers coming off that win against the boys on. I was almost said Sunday Night Football, but no, that was the Colts Chiefs.
Yeah.
This defense seemed to get back on track a little bit. They after the last 2 weeks they struggled, and it just wasn't what we thought it was. And
You're talking about the Packers defense?
yeah,
Um, I think they've played pretty well considering how people placed them at the beginning of the year.
I mean, oh yeah, they're
Um,
definitely still exceeding expectations. I think
I mean,
defensively.
they did struggle against Philly.
Mm-hmm.
They still ended up giving up 24 points to the Cowboys. They had 3 sacks and 1 forced fumble in that game, and of course, Dak's 3 interceptions. But I I think that they've been playing better than what people are giving them and what their fantasy value is showing.
I agree. I agree. I still think they're definitely startable in this matchup against the Lions. Um, Aaron Jones looked good, like really good. Again, we talked about Aaron Jones
Free Aaron
already.
Jones.
Free Aaron Jones. Um, yeah, 107 and 4 rushing touchdowns. He also got 7 receptions for 75 yards. The guy was all over the field. He was
Yeah,
still only on.
I don't think you're gonna see that same amount of volume playing the Lions. I think the Lions are their offense was looking. The Dallas Cowboys offense didn't look good, but I definitely do not think you're going to see the same about with Aaron Jones this week against the Lions. The Lions are going to come out after their bye week, and I think you're going to see a lot of carry on, a lot of Kenny Galladay. I think Matthew Stafford's going to have a pretty decent week himself. I think it's going to be a good game. I think you're going to see the Packers come away with a win here, anyways. Um, but I definitely see the Lions at least putting up points against them.
Yeah, Brady's gonna be upset. You just picked the Packers to win.
I know. I hate the Packers too, but they've been
This
looking
will put the
pretty
this will put
good.
the Packers at 5-1.
I know it's going to be. Yeah, I hate saying that too. I hate hearing it.
and they're playing at
Hey,
home.
they've been yeah, and they're in Lambeau.
It'll be hopefully we'll get a good Monday night game though, because we really haven't had a great Monday night game. The last two were blowouts. So
Yeah, you want to go back and we should go back and go over the games, pick who's gonna win. Who we think?
yeah, sure, sure. I'm not even gonna start with Thursday night because we're both gonna pick the Patriots. That
That's
was an
pretty
obvious
chalk.
one.
It's pretty chalk.
Um, Panthers Buccaneers in London.
Run CMC.
No, I'm gonna take the Buccaneers in that one. Redskins in Miami take on the Dolphins.
I think the Redskins are still gonna win it.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin is exciting to watch, so I'm gonna go with Redskins. Saints Jaguars in Jacksonville.
And I think the Saints are gonna win that one.
If their offense keeps clicking as they are, I totally agree with you on that one. Bengals at Ravens.
I think the Ravens are gonna do really well this game. This is their comeback game.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Seahawks in Cleveland to take on the Browns.
Baker interception maker. Go Seahawks.
Russell Wilson's on fire. There's no stopping. I literally my Baker jersey's right here. I didn't wear a football jersey today because both my jerseys, my other one was dirty, and this one I just can't wear right now just because of you know performance issues. Um, so I'm gonna take the Seahawks as well. Um, Offense is just too good to stop right now. Eagles, are they in Minnesota? I thought they were in Philly.
I don't remember where they're at for each. It is a tough game regardless, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Find it real quick.
this is a tough one just because the way that the Eagles defense has been playing. But
Nope, they're in Minnesota.
I think I'm gonna pick the Vikings here because they're at home.
See, I'm gonna pick the Eagles just because their defense has been so damn good. Not because I'm an Eagles fan. Brennan.
We know you're a bandwagon fan. It's okay.
Yeah, but I'm not an Eagles fan. Texans at Chiefs. I'm gonna take the Chiefs just because Penny Mahomes.
Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna
Penny
take the
Mahomes.
Chiefs in this game as well. Texans played really well, but I think the Chiefs are gonna come back out with
Great
the
fantasy game in this one.
play. Yeah,
Great fantasy game. Falcons in Arizona take on the Cardinals. Cardinals coming off their first win of the year. Can they string them together?
mm, I think that the Falcons' offense is better than the Cardinals' defense, and that's what we're gonna see.
See, I'm gonna take the Cardinals. I think they're gonna. The Falcons' defense is almost just as bad. I think.
They are, but I think this is gonna be a big Julio Holmes game.
I mean, if he takes it over, he takes it over. I'll credit to him, but I'll
Plus,
stick with the Cardinals in this
DJ's
one.
looking like he's still kind of hurt a little bit. There was some
Yeah, he's
talk
got a bit of
about that.
a back injury.
Yeah, back injury. So some talk about that, which worries me. I mean, we already talked about Chase Edmonds is still able to get it done, but he's not DJ.
Yeah. 49ers in LA take on the Rams.
I think this is the biggest game of the week.
I agree with you 100%. I think this is a good.
Do I want to pick the Rams? I want to pick the Rams, but the 49ers are looking good.
49ers 4-0. Los Angeles is 3-2.
I just it's a tough game to pick. I I'm gonna take the I'm gonna nah, I'm gonna take the Rams. I don't know if I could pick the 49ers to beat the Rams in this game. I just don't know if I can.
I mean, the Bucks torched them at home. Why couldn't San Francisco?
I think it was a fluke game.
Who's the best team in the NFC West? Just out of curiosity. Right now, who's the best team? 49ers 4-0.
Cardinals? No, I'm kidding.
Seahawks 4 and
Um,
1, and the Rams 3-2. We're not going to put the Cardinals in there because we obviously know they're
I
not
know,
close.
I know. It's just funny. I still, I think if you had to match up the 49ers and the I, I don't know, man. That's a tough, tough division.
Right now, I'm going Seattle. Just I
Mm,
love that
I don't,
offense.
I think I would say on the board you're saying the 49ers. I still think the Rams are the best team. They think they just struggled in their games that they lost.
They've lost
I
two in a row.
think Yeah, I think they struggled in the games that they lost. I think the Rams are going to beat the 49ers this week.
This might be another prove it game for the Rams. I mean, two losses in a row,
It is. It's a prove it.
and the 49ers defense is nothing to write home about. Like it is something to write home about actually. They've got Richard Sherman leading the secondary. They've got you know multiple first round picks in that front seven, and they got Quan Alexander who tackles everything. You don't even have to have the ball. He'll tackle him. He won't get penalized for it. He's that good. Titans at Broncos. Another gross
I think I'm
game.
gonna take the Broncos here. The Titans have a really good defense. I think Philip Lindsay is gonna run the ball really well. I think you're gonna see Cortland Sutton get a lot of catches from MVP Joe Flacco. And I think they're going to beat the Titans' defense, even though they're doing really well. And I don't think you're going to see that much from Marcus Mariota because it's Marcus Mariota and the Titans' offense.
Marcus Mariota has a 61% completion percentage, right?
That's fine.
I'm gonna take the Titans in this one because their defense is good and the Broncos' offense is not. Though I do like the Broncos' running game. I very much like that. Cowboys at Jets, we already talked about. I think we're both taking the Cowboys on that one. Steelers at Chargers, Sunday Night Football.
That's going to be the Chargers.
I think the Chargers are trying to get back on the back on the horse with that one. Not really Sunday Night Football. Or I write it down wrong. Yeah, Sunday Night Football. Okay. Yeah. And then the last game of the week, Lions Packers. We heard Brennan take the Packers. I am also
Yeah.
going to take the Packers. But again,
I hate to say it's gross in my mouth.
We could see a huge game from Kenny Galladay and Kerryon Johnson. It's definitely doable. We saw Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup do it, and Stafford's. I would say he's a better passer than Dak Prescott. So, but the coaching's
Yep.
a little different. They don't have Kellen Moore. They have Matt Patricia.
Well, I know we reached the end of our show for tonight, but I do want to talk about potential for a new segment coming up on Saturday that we have. I think we should wait to do it till Saturday. It is going to be called Fantasy Wish Segment. So it's a new segment we have coming up. It's going to be pretty interesting. So make sure you tune in on Saturday for that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We also have our sits and starts of the week for that one, and we'll have more injury news, more definite injury news. But make sure to follow us on Twitter. So on Sunday morning, you'll know all the news as soon as it hits. You can follow us at MadmenFF. You can find all the shows on YouTube, FFMadmen, and then like us on Facebook. Again, we are going to be doing a giveaway soon. That'll be announced on Facebook and Twitter, and how to win our giveaway. We haven't decided exactly what we're giving away yet, but it is going to be football themed, obviously. And it's going to be cool. We don't take this lightly. It's going to be awesome. So make sure to like us on Facebook and come check us out at 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday afternoon. I know there's college football on, but we got fantasy news for you guys, and it's going to be an awesome show. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Thanks, guys.